Couple of big highlights from the weekend. Chiefs wide receiver Sammy Watkins with a great one-handed catch.
Oh, that was hand-delivered, just like they brought you another coffee. Jenna got like 8 people working on it. Like Sammy Watkins got hands. Nice to see Sammy Watkins in the lineup.
Jenna had a tough weekend this weekend. Only one person working for her this week instead of the usual 4 or 5.
Okay.
Oh, that was it. One person working Sammy Watkins one-handed catch.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Twins. Saints, Eagles. All right, Marshawn Lattimore climbing the ladder for the big interception in the second quarter in this one.
One of the bigger plays, this and the fake punt. Man, he's got Zach Ertz down the rail, wide open. No one behind him. He underthrows it by a few yards. If he leads him, that's going to change this direction. Watch his feet. He's not stepping towards his target. He steps away from it, so he didn't get all of the throw there.
Still a spectacular pick by Lattimore.
Oh,
Even,
yeah.
I mean, that was to not just knock it away, but to come down with that.
Yeah, Ohio, man. That's how we do it, man. Dayton, Ohio. Ohio State.
Chargers, Patriots.
That's how we do it.
Keenan Allen with the juke here, runs free for 43 yards.
In this moment, I thought I was going to look real smart this morning. Then it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. This was 7-7. I was like, see, Pats don't have the speed. They had already converted 3rd and 15. Instead, see, at some point today, you're right. I'm going to have to look into that camera and say,
Nick, I think you're a
was
bright
wrong,
guy,
America.
but I don't think you've looked in the mirror at any point in your life and been like, hey, you know something? I look smart. No, I don't. You look like something.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so the AFC table is set. It'll be the Patriots visiting the Chiefs in Kansas City. That after the Pats beat down the Chargers 41-28. This will be their 8th straight AFC title game. Brady going to his 13th conference championship game. As many as Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, and me combined. And he had some words for the haters after the game.
What was he
this.
talking about?
It'll be a good game. They're a good team, and we played them earlier this year. I know, everyone thinks we suck, and can't win any games. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
Sort of casually.
A little chip on his shoulder.
A little
All right,
chip?
thinks we suck. We'll see. It'll be fun.
Well, why, Nick? Why do so many people underestimate the Patriots?
All right, so I'm
Maybe
one of those
someone
people.
here.
So, hey, listen, Tom Brady playing the nobody believed in us card is a little rich considering for the 3rd consecutive year they were the preseason Super Bowl favorites.
But he's right.
But
there were more doubters
based
this
on
year.
last week, if you were watching television, if you were on radio, there is no doubt that there were plenty of people said, this is when the wagon
This is
train
it for the
stops.
Patriots.
All
Yep.
right?
We're going to look
This is
back
when
on
the
this game and say this was
Absolutely. That was right here.
I was going to national. You can do yourself. I'm just saying nationally, you were not alone. There were a lot of people thinking that this Chargers team, with the talent that they had, this is when the Patriots going to get knocked off in the divisional round at home.
And it wasn't because people were just randomly grasping at things. It was because the Chargers had a better record than New England. It was because New England this year had the least overall speed on its roster that I can remember. They had been all year long. See, you talk about it. They brought in 33 different wide receivers over the course of the year.
Yes.
The last grasp was Josh Gordon, and they had to release him a few weeks ago. Like, there were warning signs. Well, the problem is this. The problem is they got the greatest football player ever, and whenever it looks like he's slowing down, he does tap into that reservoir of greatness, as you put it on Friday, and pull out something special. Tom Brady's last 6 playoff games, he's averaging 387 yards passing, has 14 touchdowns, 1 pick. And the only loss is the Super Bowl to Philadelphia, where it looked like they were going to come back till Brandon Graham took the ball from him. I don't blame him for being a little salty about it, because I'm sure he wouldn't say this publicly. I'm sure there's part of Brady that says, don't y'all know I'm the GOAT? Like, I'm sure there's part of Brady that says, why don't I get the LeBron dispensation of, no matter how concerning things are, until he's not there, we're not going to pick against them. And so I get why he would have a little chip on his shoulder about it. I also understand why people, myself included, thought this was the weekend it ended for the Pats. There were a lot of signs pointing towards that. Instead, this was the weekend the Pats played their best game all year.
And the truth of the matter is, this has nothing to do with Tom Brady. Tom Brady did the soundbite. It has nothing to do with Tom Brady. And the reason why they've been more successful and the reason why they've won more is because of Bill Belichick. Tom Brady didn't have anything to do with this win. You know the reason why? The Patriots were so predictable. 82% of the time Sony Michel was on the field, you know what they did? They ran the ball. You think Tom Brady came up with that game plan? No, he didn't. He had nothing to do with the game plan for the most part. All right, 90% of the plays, Sony Michel and James Devlin, the big fullback with the neck, like I had in high school, the big neck roll and everything. When they're on the field together, 90% of the plays they ran the ball. So they were totally predictable. This is not to do with Tom Brady. It's about their system of self-scouting themselves. And the last stat was James White. Oh, if James White's on the field, what are they going to do? They passed 97% of the time. James White was the #1 target for the Patriots and their attack. So this had nothing to do with Tom Brady and everything about the most winning organization and how they're going to support him with the game plan that they came up with going against his 7 defensive backs, 6 defensive backs that is very undersized.
And so I think that's such an interesting point because if you look at their comeback win over the Falcons in the Super Bowl, to me, that had everything to do with Tom Brady. That was not some brilliant game plan. They were down 28-3, and they then made every single play. Brady was obviously outstanding in this game. But C's point that 97% of the time, James White's on the field, they're passing. 90% of the time, Michel and Devlin are on the field, they're running. And the Chargers not being able to solve that or adjust for that, or maybe just not having the healthy linebackers necessary to try to counteract that.
Yes.
Whatever it was, this is why this Pats team, this 13 of 17 can happen in the conference championship game. Because you have the GOAT quarterback to go along with the GOAT coach. So you don't need it. They didn't need both of them to be perfect this weekend. Now, Brady was very, very good, but Belichick, I think the point Steve's making is Brady didn't have to be as good as he was for them to win this football game because of the game plan they had going in.
Boomer Esiason made a good point during halftime in the game, and he said the Chargers came out and they picked apart the Ravens' offense, and it looked great. But they weren't prepared for Belichick's sort of PhD schemed offense that the Patriots were going to bring forth. Even if it was predictable and wasn't that complicated, it was still so much more intricate than what the Ravens had the week before. It's what Belichick does. It's why you say they're so good at situational football. They're so good at self-scouting. They just know themselves, and they can sort of, outmaneuver or outplay any of their opponents.
It's easier to come up with the game plan when you have Tom Brady, because you think they're going to throw the ball. You think Tom Brady, because he's dominated the playoffs, because he's got the most experience, he's got the most wins. Every stat belongs to him that's important. So you can't start when you have the quarterback that Baltimore had. So you can only be so brilliant when your quarterback can't throw. So it was brilliant that they knew the heavy concentration was going to be in pass coverage, and we're going to run the ball in a conventional, old school. This is the way New England won 3 Super Bowls. They've only won the last 2 by throwing the ball. This is the way that they have won 3, playing great defense, shortening up the game, running the ball, and it happens that they have their most talented running back since they've been there in this run in Sony Michel. That's why he dominated James White, great pass catcher out of the backfield for them. If those are the 2 components that Kansas City has to concentrate on, because they don't have a whole bunch of weapons, and Gronk right now is like he's just an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
That's an offensive tackle that goes in motion, and he's eligible because he's got an 80 number to be able to catch the ball down the field. But right now, the #1 contribution he's going to make is end of the line blocker and being outstanding at it.
And the other aspect of this game that the Patriots earned throughout the regular season and through the NFL's odd way of seeding the playoffs is not only the bye, but this game being at home. They've now won 16 consecutive games at Gillette. And the Chargers, week 17 to Denver, back to LA. Week 1 of the playoffs to Baltimore, back to LA. And in this game, all the way out to Foxborough, and in that weather that the Patriots, I heard on the pregame, they practiced indoors 2 days all season. Like, they are ready to play in a frigid, cold temperature. This game probably didn't even feel that frigid to them. I'm sure it did to the Chargers. And you just saw one team that looked worn out from the travel, from the grind, from everything, and one team that looked the freshest they've looked all season long.
Yeah, the Patriots great at Gillette, but now they go to Kansas City, where the Chiefs are much better at home than the Patriots are on the road. All right, take a break. Coming up, what does the future hold for Nick Foles? Is that magic over? That's next on First Things First. Feels like we're outdoors here in the studio.
Feels great.